to the PCL podcast series. My name is Toyosi. The PCL podcast series features conversations with leading experts and professionals who share their insights on thought-provoking perspectives on topics relating to business, strategy, people, and technology. Today, we'll be zooming into the fintech space, and our topic for discussion is technology trends that are shaping 2022. It is without doubt that technology has been evolving since its inception, so you may be familiar with some buzzwords relating to tech, such as the business process automation, the cloud computing, the blockchain, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and the likes. Addressing our topic today is Henry from PCL, a managing consultant for the digital technology consulting practice. Hi, Henry. So good to have you here. How are you doing?
Hi, so it's my pleasure. I'm great. And you?
Pleasure. Also, I'm fine. I'm doing well. We're going to go straight to the point. We're going straight to fintech space. So, what will you say were the tech trends as of 2021 in fintech?
Okay, yeah, thank you for that very important question. I think that in 2021, considering the coronavirus and the pandemic restrictions, it's obvious for us to look at things with around collaborative work, all right, virtual work.
Yeah.
Okay, so technologies that support virtual work, of course, got prominent. And as well, we also saw a lot of movement in the business process automation space.
Definitely.
All right, and robotic process automation, because we saw a situation where people could not physically, do their work. So you will need to incorporate robots to help out with such work, and we saw a lot of that happening. And the other side of it is the cloud computing, obviously, because I think there was a shock. People had to not only begin to look at cloud computing, but also implementing cloud computing in order to survive, the pandemic and the restrictions. So, and definitely behind all this, you talk about cybersecurity. All right, when you expose your system to the cloud, then you should be mindful of the risk and the threat, from the cyber world. And then I think these are the areas, personally, I would say there's been a lot of activities last year.
It is understanding that the pandemic disrupted people and business operations. So I would expect that since the pandemic year up until last year, people and businesses have, struggled with incorporating technology. And so hence the trends that you mentioned. But in this 2022, although the year has started, but what do you foresee to be the likely trends in 2022 related to technology?
Okay, thank you, Toyosi. I would look at the consolidation, okay, and acceleration of where we were, or the technology trends that ruled 2021. The same thing I mentioned in terms of automation, talking of moving the needle of digital transformation further, okay. And on top of that, I think there will be some kind of some shift in the regulatory, especially for financial sector, which is highly regulated. I look forward to seeing some kind of new regulations, to guide, all right, and also to shaping into the digital world we are in today, all right, in terms of moving things to the cloud. A new regulation we need to have to come in, data privacy, okay, data governance. These are the things I expect that would be prominent, especially for the financial sector in 2022. In addition to the things I've spoken before that drives, competitive advantage, things bordering process automation. All right, not just for people, but also bringing robots in to play a vital role. Okay, and then definitely things around data analytics as well, coming in to drive, the competitive landscape for different sectors. So These are things I think, would continue, just like 2021. But I see more of standardization, regulatory stuff coming into, help, to make sure that we have a stable system, going forward, into the near future. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about BPA. That's the business process automation. What will you say about, the incorporation of or integration of BPA in 2022 for businesses?
Okay, so clearly we are aware that automation, like I said, is inevitable.
Right.
If you are going to survive. BPA, also RPA, these are the major technologies that are driving that sector. All right, before we bring in the AI on top of it and machine learning. But for BPA, definitely we've seen a lot of successes in the financial sector. BPA and RPA, we see a lot of successes there. Verifiable successes in terms of people that have embraced it and implemented it for different use cases. But then also we saw some kind of failures at the same time, in implementing this technology, which clearly demonstrates the fact that technology is an enabler. All right, so technology will not correct a broken system. Okay, so what we see is that people need to get their processes right before you begin to look at what RPA, BPA engines and technologies and frameworks would help you do. So if you have a broken system, then implementing this automation will worsen it and create more frustration. All right, so for us in PCL, where we usually start with process optimization, before we moving into the implementation of our RPAs and BPAs, and that's what we advise companies to do. And we look forward to a whole lot of this happening also in this year and then in the subsequent years.
So let's talk about the business process automation, right? So as an expert, I would expect that you've implemented some of these processes for your clients, right? So what would you say are the lessons learned, from the right implementation and the wrong implementation? What would you say are the lessons learned from these experiences?
Yeah, thank you again. This is a very important question. And I think this is the question in mind of everyone, because we've seen some processes and some failures at the same time. And while it is difficult to pin all to one particular issue, I think is noting that we've discovered that the ones that have succeeded, is all about strategy. It's all about process optimization. And the ones that have failed is also, kind of replicating, your problem or automating your problem. All right, so that wouldn't provide any advantage for you. Okay, so now the first thing people will need to look at when it comes to optimization is what do you want to optimize, or what process do you want to automate, so to speak. So what are the processes you want to optimize? How do you know what to automate as a process? Okay, so these are what the analysis that has to happen, so that you know where you have values and what to automate and what not to automate. What are the priorities? What should come first? What should come next? So there's an entire value chain for every organization in terms of automation. Okay, so that diagnosis needs to happen. Okay, and then design has to happen in order to, at the end of the day, it's all about creating value, right? It's not just about automation, but the value it creates for the business. And this is where what we do as Philips Consulting to help organizations, get it right. We come from that area, of seeing looking at the diagnosis of their organization and then their processes, and then moving to the optimization of the processes that need automation, and from that point we'll take it on.
Okay, so if I hear you speaking about wrong implementation, so what you're saying is a reason or a problem, or what can cause a wrong implementation can be a flawed process, right, or wrong strategy. Is that what you're saying? Because I think you mentioned strategy and and process optimization.
Okay. We'll not say strategy will be a problem.
Okay.
But the processes, this is what you're automating, right?
Yes.
So if you have a weak process
Right.
or a very poor process, automation will not make it better. Okay, so that's where process optimization is very critical, all right, before you begin to automate. All right, yeah.
That's clear now. Okay, so we're going to do a quick throwback to 2021 during the PCL Future Work webinar. So one of the consultants, and I'm quoting, the consultant mentioned that the organizations that win will be those that choose exploration over exploitation and innovation over business as usual. Can you say we have seen many winners in the last, 2 years?
Yes, certainly. I mean, it's the data is out there for everyone to see, and to also see the sectors that actually won and the ones that lost. Okay, clearly, what we can conclude is that money didn't disappear in these last 2 years. What actually happened was that money moved from different sector, different organization into another one. All right. So what people or organizations with exploitation method or model, okay, lost, okay, we actually gained by the organizations that are tailored into exploration. Okay, for instance, we look at the Flutterwave, all right, which became the third unicorn fintech that's coming out of Nigeria. All right, they just joined the likes of InterSwitch and Jumia. All right, but what is interesting about Flutterwave is that they made this stride, or they accomplished this particular stride in 5 years, which is unprecedented. All right, that is a typical company that is into innovation. Okay, that is into exploration, and we can see it. And recently, we found out that they've already, closed the $250 million round of investment, okay, which have moved them now to a valuation of $3 billion. This is within the space of a couple of months apart, So I think that clearly shows that that particular premise is accurate. Okay, and not only just accurate, but people need to look at it very carefully. This is the truth. And going into the future, these are the models that will determine who will survive or who will actually, fizzle out.
So I'm going to be asking, in this year, this 2020, what do you foresee that businesses will invest in relative to technology? Initially, for 2021, you mentioned the likes of BPA again, BPA, cloud computing, collaborative tools and the likes. So in 2022, what do you foresee that, businesses will invest in as relative to technology?
No, technology is very vast and horizontally and vertically. All right, so it's difficult to pin a particular set of technologies as what people will be investing in. However, when you look at it, it depends on where the organization, different organizations have their own different strategy, one. And secondly, you look at their maturity as well. Okay, so that will determine where their money will be going to. Okay, but on a general perspective, you also look at the things that have to help people to work. Okay, have a hybrid kind of work. So collaborative tools will keep on, being out there, being a choice for investment, because you just have to work. All right, and like Rob Taiwo mentioned during the seminar the webinar you mentioned the last time, he said that, quoting him now, that work is not where you go, but what you do. Right. You see, so that tells you that there's already a shift and investment is already being pushed in this direction. Okay, and again as well, process automation. We can't say it enough. Automation will keep on going. All right. While some people are at the business process automation level of some of their mundane tasks, we'll see definitely, or we are seeing investment going into robotics right now. All right, not only in the financial sector, but also in manufacturing. All right, so things that mundane work that people do, all right, will definitely be moved to robots. Okay, just imagine we're a company, have an IT department, and maybe 30%, even 20% of their work is on password change. For clients, helping clients and helping their internal system to do password change. This is 2022.
Right.
That kind of work shouldn't be what a human being should be doing. Robots should be doing that. And we'll see a whole lot of that kind of level of automation, going on, and even more sophisticated business models being automated, going into the future.
Trust architectures can include distributed ledger technologies like blockchain and zero trust security approaches to preventing data breaches. Do you see blockchain being a prominent part of technology?
Absolutely, Toyin. You see, what is going on right now is that globalization is real and is inevitable. All right, so we definitely in the next few years, will only recognize countries or regions in the maps. All right, so, so boundaries will no longer exist in business and in commerce. Okay, so and in order to make this work, we are talking about blockchain, and trust architecture and open architecture as well. And this is what blockchain smart contract is supporting. So we see, it has already started happening, where people here in Africa, will do business or invest or do transaction with another continent. All right, so with blockchain, you don't need to trust. You really do not need to be afraid if you be swindled or if you lose your money, because this technology ensures, that whatever the agreement is, the system takes care of it, and system knows nobody, no emotions, all right? So system will handle it. So globalization will be driven majorly by blockchain and AI. Okay. So this technology has come, and it would, keep improving. Cutting across different sectors, not only financial industry.
So now tell us about the use of artificial intelligence in industry.
Okay, so yes, we have very, very important use cases. All right, an application of AI in the financial services sector.
Right.
However, if you say how much adoption has happened there, not quite much. All right, because I think it's still at its infancy at this stage, and the reason is not far-fetched. All right, because AI is completely dependent on data, talking about quantity as well as the quality of data. You see, so what we see here is while we may have so much data, the quality of the data is another issue altogether. All right, so we require both quantity and quality of data for AI to actually produce the business value, for which it was released in the industry, or whatever it is promised in terms of business value. And we are seeing this happening, but not so much of it at the moment. But with the cloud computing, taking a center stage now, all right, we're going to see, synchronization of data, and we're going to see more implementation of AI, taking center stage in the businesses and in the organizations. Okay.
All right. Okay. So how significantly did supply chain disruption impact technology services and delivery during the pandemic? And how did these organizations, address it?
Yeah, this is, I think, it's a very important question, and I think we all experience it in one way or the other. For some people, they don't even understand what you're talking about. But then when you look at inflation today, majorly is as a result of broken supply chain. All right. So, but what is interesting this time was that supply chain got disrupted from demand side as well as from supply side. All right. Usually you have one of these things happen, but because of the pandemic, it happened on both sides at the same time. You see, so people were not able to go to work. all right, to produce some of these, whether finished product or a product for the pre-finished product, people couldn't go to work, all right? So you have a shortage in supply, all right? And at the same time, you're having a huge demand, all right? Because people had to make use of this thing. So on both sides, the world was hit, and that has affected everything. The inflation is global, all right? It's not a one country affair. And that is disruption in the supply chain. Okay, so what I see, the recommendation, or what we even see people doing right now, is to rethink, okay, their supply chain strategy. Okay, one of the things people are doing right now is to create more avenues, all right, locally and internationally, all right, creating more options, all right, so that if there's a problem, all right, like we saw last year in international markets, you can actually leverage your local supply, all right, and the same thing if it's happening local, you know. So this is the strategy so many companies are adopting now, just to create that diversity, you know, to enable them cushion the shock. All right. The next thing that is going on is that people are looking at providing buffer, all right, in their inventory management, optimizing their inventory management. All right. This time around, looking at the data, all right, to know when to, you know, make more orders, you know, just to have a kind of a surplus somewhere, but not excess or surplus, definitely, because that would be a problem, right? But creating a healthy buffer, all right, for these items, okay? And I think the other one, the last thing I want to say also is that for matured organizations, they are into sensitivity analysis of their supply chain parameter, all right? Some of these organizations that use AI, all right, they are looking at checking, all right, the parameter that controls supply chain, you know, simulating and looking at, okay, if I move this, what will happen to this side and all that. So it is a more, should I say, more complex exercise, but that's what people are doing today in order to make sure that their business is future-proof.
Right. Okay, so you seem to have mentioned, you know, financial institutions a lot of times. So they seem to have been, you know, one of the major, will I say, players in this, when it comes to adopting technology, right? And I want to believe that it shouldn't be limited to just these companies within that industry. That's the financial industry. So how do we sell this to, you know, various companies across industries on the use and the need to adopt technology? See, for example, during the pandemic, I'm sure not only banks, you know, needed technology for their business continuity, other companies also needed it. But how do we sell it more? How do we make businesses see the benefits and the importance of this? Moving on.
Yeah, just to go straight to the point, I think it's all about education. Right. All right, there has to be education. Okay, people need to see value, all right, of technology to their business. All right, so I think basically there has to be more education, more engagement across other sectors, not only the big organizations, right? We're talking of even the small and medium enterprises. All right, there's so much technology can do, okay, to help them, you know, be at the cutting edge of their own and be competitive as well in their own space where they operate. So there's going to be a lot of engagement and a lot of, you know, education in this line.
Okay, thank you so much, Henry. I mean, it was quite insightful. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this with us. And I'm hoping that, you know, business leaders will look into this, they will adopt this, and of course get educated so that they know the value of what, you know, they're integrating in their businesses. Thank you so much. So good to have you here.
It's my pleasure, Teresa. Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of today's episode, and I trust that the session was quite insightful and informative. Do follow us on the social media platforms. Bye.